To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Hi, I'm Travis, the King of Source Point, and you're watching The Experience.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to The Experience. This is Talking Shop, where I just want to give a shout out to I'm super proud. You know, when you're a super proud mama, you got to say stuff. That opener with the cool, exploding microphone is done by my son, who was, I think, 16 or 17 when he made that. He's just got a passion for 3D animation. Who knew? And to that end, we're all about lifting up the voices of people that are creative and want to make really neat things, especially in the comic book world. And specifically, we're trying to get you on top of books that are releasing either this week or very soon, so that you can add them to your pull box or put on a wish list if you're at your local comic shop, or try to find a way to get your hands on it, but at least make you aware of it, because I know there's a lot of information out there. It's hard to know everything about what's coming out, and we don't want you to be caught off guard, especially when right now when there's kind of like supply chain interestingness. And I just want you to remember to be very patient with your local comic shop, because they really have no control over most of these things. The publishers don't either. It's just kind of one of these things that's just happening to us all, and having a fun attitude about it. Just think about all the cool things that you're going to get to read, right? It's kind of like delayed Christmas. Have you ever had one of those Christmases where you knew you were getting a present from your grandma and grandpa, but it came late? And then it came late and you got to have the second Christmas. So it's always the best. All right. Today we've got an awesome lineup of who we're going to talk to. But first, we're going to talk to Fellhound, who is a creator of a great new book that I've been waiting to read for a long time, Commander Rao from Scout Comics. How are you doing, Fel?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited to talk shop and talk comics with you.
So comic books are kind of weird right now. There's kind of everything changing about our industry every day. Have you been doing comic books proper for very long?
So I started about I think 2 years ago, when I started really writing and drawing and self-publishing my comics and getting into the industry. Although before that, I've been kind of drawing for 7-ish years, but nothing that looked decent enough to be out there.
So when you weren't thinking about creating comic books, what did you kind of have envisioned for the future of your art? Did you just want to get good at doing art in general? Did you have an idea of you just want to do illustration in general?
Yeah, so actually, I think when I was in 2013, that was when I started getting into comic books. So I picked up Batwoman Elegy from J.H. Williams, and that's such a gorgeous book. It just kind of blew my mind away. It's so good. And I was always a writer, so I always enjoyed writing. And then when I picked up that book, it's like my mind just opened up to a new world of possibilities, because that book looks so good and the art was so good. So I think that was when I started getting really invested in comics and started like really wanting to learn how to draw so I could make that on my own. And back then I was kind of a broke college student, so I didn't have a lot of money. Like I considered maybe paying other people to draw stuff for me, but it just financially wasn't feasible. So I was like, well, I have time. I guess I'll just learn how to draw. And then I guess a couple of years down the line, here I am. I got my first published comic coming out, which is very exciting.
So I would have never, ever, ever guessed that you hadn't always been an illustrator from the quality of your work. Did you take classes, or did you just this is your art style? You just came to it by just doing?
Yeah, so I'm mostly self-taught. A lot of books, a lot of YouTube. It's funny because my sister, she's actually like a professional illustrator and graphic designer. She used to do like magazine covers and like posters for big banks. So she was always the art person. And when I was starting to get into art, I kind of picked her brain about, what's a good way to go about it. And I think the subject of art school is like, it's kind of controversial in a way. Like some people are really for it, some people are really against it. At the end of the day, like I was already doing my degree in like science, and it was just a lot of money. So, talking with my sister, I found some resources, I found some books, and just practiced a lot.
So do you have any YouTube channels that you recommend for learning how to do art that you liked a lot?
There are, but I cannot remember the name of any of them because it's been a long time. Yeah, like I mostly just like Googled, how to draw whatever I wanted to draw, and then I just looked up like every single tutorial. I'm also on Twitter a lot, and a lot of artists like to post like really short and concise and very well done tutorials. So I like bookmark every single one of those and just kind of learn that way. Also a lot of trial and error. Like you just kind of got to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and then kind of find your own vibe in the world.
So do you like doing practical art, or do you find yourself drawn to digital? What is your favorite?
Yeah, so I started out doing traditional art. I used to do a lot of ink work with like pens and stuff, but for the last couple of years since I started comics, it's mostly been all digital. I draw on an iPad. I use Clip Studio Paint, and I just kind of love the, I guess, portability and the versatility of it. Like I can bring it anywhere. I can pretty much do all the inks and all the colors, and I don't have to carry like a billion pens and markers around. So that's what I've been really enjoying.
So funny. My husband just recently picked up art as just kind of a hobby, I think. And I think that's the one thing he's figured out. Hasn't done anything digital yet, but I wonder if he'll find himself there, because the amount of junk he has to carry around to go. He's taking an actual college class as a 52-year-old,
It's never too late. But yeah, like it's a lot of stuff. I was looking like, when my sister used to do art, she'd have like canvases and markers and like just everything strewn about her room, and it's a lot of stuff.
It's got to be cheaper, right, to get into it if you learn digitally, because you have the big output of paying for a really good, tablet and the electronic pen brushes that you have to have. But other than that, once you're in.
Yeah, like it's like a lot of upfront investment, but I like it. I enjoy it. I feel like it saves me a lot of trouble down the line. I don't have to keep going back and replacing stuff. And it just saves paper as well.
Is there any kind of cool tricks of the trade that you've learned digitally that you wish someone had told you when you started?
I mean, there's a couple, but I think they're all like program specific. Like Clip Studio is a very powerful program. I'm still learning stuff every day. Like recently I was learning how to do vector lines and how you can like pretty much use vector lines so that they don't get, I guess, more rasterized if you like warp it or if you like enlarge it. Like the line will still stay as sharp as it did before. And there's a lot of other tools. Like Clip Studio has like a 3D sort of asset tool where you can like pose 3D models in it, and that's really cool. So I'm always trying to play around with that and like compose some stuff. And it's just a very powerful program. Like there's so many things I still don't know how to do on it. So yeah, it's a journey. I wish I could think of anything more specific, but there's so much stuff.
Yeah, for somebody that's never used it, I always think there's just like, oh, if you push A, then things are more simple. It's like, nope, there's way too much.
Yeah,
I am the least techie person ever.
Honestly, I am too, but I feel like, and part of the reason is like, once you get comfortable with one program, it's hard to jump into another program. So like, if I don't have Clip Studio and I go to another program, I'll just be totally lost and be like, I don't know how to art anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I feel like it's probably exactly like if you're an iPhone user and someone hands you an Android, it's like they handed you a brick because they work so differently. You're like, I don't know.
No, that's absolutely right. Like we use iPhones at work, and I've been like using Samsung for about 10 years. So like I'm still having trouble with the work iPhones because I'm like how does this work? There's no buttons on it. Like
Yeah, when I first got the iPhone without the button, I was just like, I'm never gonna be able to intuit how to use this. And like, 3 minutes later, you're like, what did everyone need a button for?
Right?
I tried to use my old iPhone and I was like, well, I can't make this work.
Yeah, no, like I still have the really old iPad with a button on it, so I haven't upgraded to even the new iPads with no buttons on it. I feel like that's going to be quite a change.
So big. So outside of doing the awesome book that we're looking forward to, Commander Rao, do you have another career that you do alongside your art and writing?
I do. I'm part-time like comic book creator, and in my other part-time job, I'm a paramedic.
Oh wow, you're like a real life action hero.
Maybe not as intense, but it is a fun, and it's a job that keeps you on your toes, I'll say.
Oh, I totally believe that paramedics are superheroes because you're usually the first person on a scene and have to assess what's going on. Like that person's life is in your hands because you got to know your stuff. I really think you're a superhero. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, especially with the pandemic, everything's been a little crazy. I feel like we're still kind of getting used to all the changes going on with like healthcare and COVID and everything. But yeah, it's definitely been an interesting couple of years in the job.
So you went to school obviously to do that because you had mentioned science before.
Yes.
So this is probably how you keep sane.
Yeah, like in a way. To be honest, I find art very relaxing. So, when I'm not doing the paramedic stuff, I like to do art stuff. But then when the art stuff gets too much, I just go back to my day job and worry about something else. So I feel like it's a good balance. Yeah, and like the paramedic job's like, it's a 12-hour shift, but it's also like you work a lot, but you get a lot of time off. So I feel like I'm able to balance my art schedule that way because I still get enough time off to draw and everything. So yeah, it's a good balance I have that I'm fairly happy with at the moment.
So are you in a big city or are you part of a smaller city?
So I'm in a city that's just right outside of Toronto. So it's not quite Toronto, but like just outside.
Well, that's not too bad because I was thinking about like big cities probably comes with a lot of other dangers to it outside of just like having to take care of people that are injured.
Yeah, like I know some people who do work in Toronto, and it is, just hearing stories from them, it is very busy, and it's, especially in a big city, I feel like it's a different type of culture. Like there's a lot more stuff that's unpredictable, and it's different kind of like culture and clientele and everything. I also just don't like really cramped roads. Like in the city, it's a lot of one ways, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of construction, and I don't think I could handle that.
Yeah, we live in a northern suburb of Houston, and being in Houston is so much different than being in the little suburb we're in. It's like another world.
Yeah.
My hair's doing its own thing today. I love it. I should have touched it. That thing you're like, going, I'll fix it. Nope.
Oh no, it looks great.
Let's talk about Commander Rao. Was this something inspired by something that you experienced yourself, or were watching a show and you're like, what would be a cool idea? Where did the inspiration come from?
Yeah, so Commander Rao, it's a sci-fi action one-shot. So the initial inspiration for it, I think around 2018, I used to love doodling these little like armors and soldiers and tanks and stuff, and it was just like a thing I liked drawing. And then eventually, after I released I self-published my first book, Do You Believe in an Afterlife? And I figured I didn't really have a lot of sequential art that had fight scenes in them, and I just kind of wanted that for my portfolio. Yeah, I guess I need a more varied portfolio. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make an action comic, and I haven't really drawn fight scenes before, so I was like, okay, how can I make this action comic look cool? So I took a lot of inspiration from like animated fight scenes from Legend of Korra and Castlevania, and I just kind of studied how those fights were choreographed and everything, and I was like, how can I capture that, like the badassery and the flow and the kinetics of an animated fight scene and make it into a comic book. So that was probably one of the biggest inspirations, just trying to capture the feeling of like a seamless badass fight scene into a comic book. Because I feel like with a lot of fight scenes in comic books, because of I guess space constraints, you don't really get a lot of space to really get the really cool drawn out fight scenes. But with Commander Rao, because that was kind of the premise and like the goal, I felt like I had a lot of room to play around with. So that's kind of where the plot of Commander Rao came from. I just wanted to draw a really cool fight scene.
So tell us about Commander. What is their backstory?
Yeah, so Commander Rao is a sci-fi action one-shot about a rogue commander on a warpath against a tyrannical baron. And her backstory is a bit of a mystery, so that's kind of the focus of the plot of the book. Why is she after the baron? Why is she, kicking ass and like storming a mansion full of bad guys? And, as we go along the book, we do uncover a little bit more of the commander's story and her backstory, and we get to know a little bit more about, her motives, like why is she so against the Baron, and, what is driving her, like, rage throughout the book. So I can't reveal too much about the character because I don't want to give some stuff away, but I will say it's very cool. It's a little sad. I like to balance the badassery and the action with a little bit of emotion, but it's yeah. But I hope people will enjoy. I hope it will be a surprising comic and plot to people.
So you said this is a one shot?
Yes.
Sad face. Do you have plans for follow-up one shots?
I do. So the thing about Commander Rao is that before it was picked up by Scout Comics, I self-published it on Kickstarter, and it was my second book that I released myself. So I didn't have any expectations of how well it would do or like how well it would have been received, but it ended up being a lot more well received than I thought it would. Like it actually won Best Comic Award from the Sequential magazine, I think, in the beginning of 2021. So that was really cool.
Oh, congrats, man! That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely like I wasn't expecting it to get as big as it did, but now that it has in a way, and people are asking me for more, like I do have plans for future comics with Commander Rao in it. I'm working on one right now that's more of a prequel story, so we don't really see. It's not the commander; it's like the commander 10 years ago before she became a badass. But I think it sets up, a lot of the story of where I want to take it next. So that's where we're at.
I love that. So you mentioned this book that came before, something with afterlife in the title?
Yes. Do you believe in an afterlife?
Oh, tell me more about this and how you get it if you really want one.
Yeah, so that was my first, I guess, published book that I self-released. So that's actually, I described it as a comic zine because it was a little bit more experimental. It was told in half comics and half prose. I kind of just mixed the two together to tell the story. And that's about, it's like a post-apocalyptic queer romance at the end of the world. Pretty much there's these giant robots that are invading the world, and then the soldier falls in love with the mechanic, and then they kind of bond and try to navigate the end of the world together. It sounds really sad, but it's actually really cute and hopeful.
I love it. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. So that's available on my Gumroad, gumroad.com/fellhound. Unfortunately, I am sold out of print copies, but digital is still available, and I'm hoping to reprint a couple copies for cons for next year.
Oh, yeah, I think you're going to have to now. Because I know I want one. I'm a weird person. I understand digital comic books. I understand the place they have in the world, and I understand people that love them. Mm-hmm. But I grew up holding books, like even novels. Like I always feel like if you haven't ever fallen asleep in a book or had a hand cramp from a book, then you probably haven't really loved books yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Did you grow up with like practical books, or are you like, I'm all into digital? Digital's my thing.
No, I actually have a lot of trouble reading stuff digitally. Like I can't read books digitally because like just staring at the tiny text hurts my eyes for too long. But with comics, it's a little better. I still prefer the physical copy just because I like to look at the art and I like to have the feel of it in my hands. But yeah, it depends. Like because of I buy a lot of comics on Kickstarter and shipping is a lot of money. I do find that I have been slowly moving to a little bit more digital, but yeah, there's pros and cons to both.
I understand that, because that does also become a problem. Like, if you have a lot of comic books, how many is too many, right?
Yeah. And like, especially with like, it's so hard to buy long boxes and short boxes now because of all the paper shortages. So like, I don't have room to put all my comics.
Yeah, on our end, it's become a little bit of it's interesting to try to explain to people why we don't have things. Or like, for example, this week, Commander Rouse should have been in stores this week, but because of delays at the printing process, it'll come out. But that was, I think, the 14th. It got delayed by a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really just teasing people big time. Yes,
but in 2 weeks, you will have the book in your hands, I hope. I was told possibly the 17th, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, the benefit, honestly, is that you have more time to get out there and get people excited about adding it to their polls or putting on a wish list or telling their LCS, please make sure I get one of these.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like I had the unfortunate experience of having sprained my ankle and sprained my wrists for the past month. So I was like homebound and I couldn't do anything for like a month. But now I can, so like I feel like I need to catch up on all the promo.
Oh my gosh. So do you have any other like future projects you've got all mapped out and you're excited and are on the work for, or just thought processes for something in the future?
Yeah, so I'm working on the prequel to Commander Rao right now. That is almost done, the art stuff. Because I strained my wrist, it's been delayed a little bit, but now that I can work on it again, hopefully it'll be out early 2022 via Kickstarter. And I have a couple other stuff in the works. A lot of anthology stuff, some stuff that I'm talking about with friends that haven't really reached, I guess, production stage yet, but I'm slowly kind of gravitating towards like illustrated prose and like doing illustrations for those. So that's something I'm really excited about doing. And yeah, there's a couple other ideas that I have that are still cooking in the brain, but we'll see when those come out.
I love it. I'm sure you always have like inspiration. And do you like keep a notebook with all your ideas in it so you don't forget?
Not really a notebook. I have like a folder with like 50 ideas in them, and none of them really fully realized. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. It's like I love thinking of ideas, but like writing out the whole script is a different hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you work with? Do you have like a favorite editor that you work with, or do you edit your own things?
So far I've edited my own things. For my next book, I am working with an editor, Frankie White. He did some stuff with Source Point, I think 25th. He also made Broken Bear with Caliber, and he's a really good friend of mine and really, really smart guy. So he's editing my next book. And other than that, I haven't really worked with a lot of editors yet, but it's probably a good idea I do, because I mostly need someone to just lock up my scripts after I'm done so that I don't rewrite the entire thing as I go along.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just now, and I've always known that editors were important, but I've met a lot recently that it's mostly because of interviewing creators that they've been telling me how important that editors have been to their process and how much better they made their things. I always thought that editors were just there to like make sure that the grammatical things were correct, and that's not really the entirety of their job. They make sure the storyline makes sense and that the flow is good, and just push the writer to push themselves. It's just eye-opening how important they were, and I didn't think that I didn't understand the full importance, I guess.
Oh yeah, like editors are like lifesavers. Because like I feel like when you look at your own scripts too long, like you like get in your head and you're like, I don't know if this is effective anymore. So it's always nice to have a second pair of eyes on it. And I know like Commander Rao didn't have an editor; it was just me releasing it. And there were times where I was like, is this actually a good comic? Is it good enough to be out there? And you just kind of throw it to the wolves and hope for the best.
Do you just have a bunch of friends read it and give you feedback?
Not even a bunch of friends. I think I gave it to my sister, being like, "Is this good?" And I gave it to one friend, being like, "Is this good?" And then they said, "Yeah, it's fine." So I was like, "Okay, I guess that's it."
Well, one must believe that since Scout has been putting out amazing books, that if they told you it was good, that they mean it's great because they put their company name behind it, which feels good, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I'm a big fan of a lot of Scout books, so I was super pumped to have Commander out in there with their lineup.
Do you have a favorite of what they put out?
I really, really loved Canopus by Dave. Yes, that's the last name. Yes, I love that book so much. I love like weird kind of sci-fi kind of things. So that book I really loved. I also really loved Grit. By the Horns, I'm reading right now, is also very good.
Oh man, By the Horns, that last issue, man.
Oh, the silent issue.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so well done. Like totally heartbreaking, but so good.
My heart broke.
Right?
You knew that happened, right? At the very beginning of the first issue, they tell you why she's so pissed off, but you didn't have to be in that moment with her yet.
Yeah, and like actually seeing it, I'm just like, oh no. But I'm super pumped that got upgraded to like a longer series because it's such a good comic. I'm so excited.
Very smart for them. All right, everybody, we're running short on time. We've posted up in the comments all the connections so you can follow Fell's work on Instagram and on Scout and just about everywhere else. Looks like you should look up the Gumroad stuff if you want to see some of private work, and make sure you put it on your pull list or wish list because it looks like it's going to be a couple weeks before Commander Route comes out. And make sure you put it on there. Also, future issues, because it looks like you guys are prequel, and that will be awesome. Any other places where people should follow you other than the Insta that we've posted up?
So I'm also on Twitter a lot. You can find me at fellhound_ there. And other than that, I think it's just Instagram and Twitter that I'm really most active on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, thanks for having me, Jen. This was really fun.
I look forward so much to reading it and doing a review because I get the most excited. And people try to send me digital copies all the time. I'm like, nope, I want it in my hands on the week that it releases. Got a problem.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, I wish you have a full recovery for all of your injuries because that does not sound fun at all. And I hope that book comes out and everyone like loses their mind over it and it fast tracks the next one. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me.
Absolutely, anytime. Thank you again for having me on. It's great talking with you. Remember to pre-order Commander Rao.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Coming up next, Joe Pruett from Aftershock regales us with the tales of his new anthology, After Dark. See you in a minute.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Hey, I'm Garrett Gunn. You might know me from Good Boy, Warcorns, Franklin and Ghost, and you're watching The Experience.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Experience. This is Talking Shop, where we get you all hyped up for the stuff that's coming out this week. Joining us now is Joe Pruett. Hello. Oh, you have muted me yourself. Fancy. There you go. Uh-oh. I can't hear you, so I gotta figure out why. I'm sure JD's figuring it out on the other end, so I'm gonna stop touching things.
Well, Joe, it's telling me that your mic isn't connected. If you can hear us,
I see him clicking it on and up.
there we go. Well, we could just like maybe we could do like dub it. We could you go ahead and talk, Joe, and we'll just dub what we think you're saying.
No. Silly.
No.
Do you have an external mic plugged in somewhere? Because I always make this mistake when I go on. I've got the mic plugged into the wrong spot.
It looks like he's going to figure it out. Let's go. Well, how are you doing, Jen?
I am doing great. It's been a crazy day here. Started out the day, we open at noon, but we have the pizzeria opens at 11. So we have a door that's open and available for people to come in. And I never fuss at them if they come in early, but we had quite a few people come in before hours, which is fine. And then a giant collection came in like half an hour before I was going live. So it was such a sweet guy.
Are we gonna see any of that new collection tonight on Mishmash?
No, but the other collection that I started on Thursday, which is exceptionally awesome, definitely is going to be on Mishmash. People really love the first part of it.
Oh, I think we
Well, unfortunately, I can't really hear you very well. Okay, try it again.
Hello.
No.
That is hilarious.
How about now?
How about now?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of background static with you. I can't hear you at all.
Got my giant mic. My giant mic's on. You have epic hair.
Okay, we're gonna try.
Can you hear me at all? If I talk a little loudly, is that fine?
I do not hear you.
Okay.
I hear like a robot voice noises.
Oh, that's really bad. Any ideas, JD, the technician?
Unfortunately, without knowing his setup, there's nothing.
Yeah,
no advice
I'm just hearing a bunch of noise.
Everything
Try
sounds
to log
fine.
out and log back in.
Yeah, try that. Definitely, that's a good idea. There he goes. Let's.
Maybe that'll fix it.
There we go. And
by the way, Mr. Pruett is a good friend of mine, so I get to go see him. I'm driving up to see him I'm either leaving Wednesday night or Thursday morning. I'm going to go and see if I can get some footage of Aftershock Central, the head office. I don't know if you guys know this, but Atlanta, Georgia is kind of like the center of all Hollywood stuff right now. I don't know why. It must be cheaper to shoot there, or they're giving you good tax whatevers. But there's a lot of movies that get shot up there, so I'm excited to go see what's going on. Pruett. How's it sound to you now?
Letting you down.
You're not letting me down. Technology is letting us down. That's different.
Okay.
Here,
Well,
I've got an
I'll try
idea.
talking now. I don't. Yeah, I
Can
just
you hear
hear a
anything at
metallic
all?
noise when I try talking.
All right, let's do this.
because
I
you
hear you there,
sound fine to us.
but now I don't.
Okay.
Okay, now I hear you.
You can hear us. Can
Yeah,
you
I
hear
hear you fine
clearly,
now.
or
Clearly, I can hear
all
you
right?
right
Perfect.
now.
Perfect.
Okay,
Excellent.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, cool. All right. If all else fails, we can do it so you turn off your sound and you just call my phone, which is right here, and it'll
Okay.
sound the same.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So I can try that if I need to. Apologize. I got on. I didn't realize I had to have a different browser to get onto the show. So nothing I could do.
It was the first I had ever heard of such things. It's crazy. All right. So we're excited because this week we get a cool anthology from you with the first new Black Eyed Kids in forever. What was it like revisiting it?
3 years ago, maybe. It was great, actually. I really missed the story, the characters. Once I started writing it, it became natural again. There you go. That's first issue. One of our first titles here at Aftershock. And they actually kind of ended on a cliffhanger. So it was great getting back to this. The short story does not solve the cliffhanger. Don't get too excited. It's just a day in the life. But the fact that I'm back into it and working on it again makes me think about returning to the series itself and in one form or another, and see what we can do about getting it more of a natural ending.
Yeah, it's crazy that you guys. Well, I'm sure it wasn't an accident. You guys figured out how to make it come out so close to the spooky season. Did you guys have to really work on that schedule, or did it just happen to work out?
Well, we definitely planned to have it out in time for Halloween. We actually planned to have it out 2 weeks before Halloween. And it was at the printers waiting to come out 2 weeks before Halloween. So then all of a sudden, I don't know if most of you all realize, there is a industry-wide paper shortage and crisis right now with all the printers. So this book actually ended up getting bumped 3 weeks, I believe it was. Actually, it was printed a week earlier, but then it wasn't sent to Diamond like it should have been that 1 week. So I got another week delay. So here it is, just in time for November for your Halloween season.
Well, we've been talking to a lot of people about that, our viewers especially, about how we can look at this in one way or the other, right? We can get really mad about it and like get frustrated, which won't change what's happening, or we could be very understanding and supportive because Lord knows that the artists and creators that are doing the books are stressed out because it's harder for them to promote something. They don't know
Try to be a publisher.
Yeah, publisher is going to figure that out. Being a printer, I hear that there's plenty of printers out there that like to not be printing at this point because the stress of doing it.
Well, there's plenty of printers out there who are not printing or having paper shortages. For instance, a printer we were using for like maybe a week, all of a sudden had all the paper they had purchased or had planned to purchase bought out from underneath them at the last second, so they're leaving them with no paper. So that leaves just scrambling to try to find a replacement for that now. So
we need to go find a long lost warehouse, kind of like Indiana Jones style, of paper, and then we'd be rich.
Well, seriously, right? I think I might get my own paper mill started up in my backyard. I got some trees. But yeah, it's an industry-wide thing right now. It's not just an Aftershock thing by any means. And we're all adjusting on the fly. And each week is a new fly to adjust, apparently. So I think we are actually getting to a point where we're in a good place and know what will be happening. But for the next month or two, everybody's schedules are messed up. Because we have for a while there, I had no idea when stuff was going to be printed and coming out. So we had to adjust every single week. So just bear with us. We're not doing it on purpose. We're angrier than you are, trust me. And just trying to solve the situation that's presented to us.
Hannah's says that Halloween doesn't end on November 1st for some of us.
That's right. It's year round. It's year round, baby.
Has anyone out there seriously considered the option of going out and getting a bunch of recycled paper instead of being like, it's going to be low quality, but here you go?
Yeah, it's just paper in general. I mean, I've had even, I guess, printers we use for posters or for postcards let us know, expect a price increase at least 3 times next year. Because it's worldwide.
Who knew? Someone is out there just feeling super smart right now with.
It wasn't me.
Papers. No. Oh, but what it means is that I was saying it's kind of like Christmas is delayed, right? Because you get books when you expect books, and you get books later than you expected books. But they're still awesome books.
Exactly, but it's not just paper printing. I mean, it's a supply chain issue across the whole world right now. So a lot of things are you might expect for Christmas season are not going to make it for Christmas season. And now I've tried to do some merch stuff on the side here and there, and getting stuff from China, and it'll be say die cut pins or something like that. Is all of a sudden we expected to be ready for New York Comic Con. Guess what? I just now got one of them in this week. So it's real tough. The most of the stuff that comes from foreign countries comes through the LA docks, and they're backed up, for weeks trying to get and land at the docks. We send stuff to our Korean printer, usually sent up 2 months in advance. We've been sending it 3 months in advance for quite a while now, and we're still getting books come in late because they can't get docked. So it's just adjust to what you have and do the best you can.
Well, the good news is that Aftershock has been putting out a really amazing comic books.
Thank you.
So they're worth the waiting for. I know that your story is in After Dark, but are there works from other previous Aftershock horror in this anthology as well?
And Aftershock has 4 different short stories in it. One is Black Eyed Kids by myself, like you just said. One is Frank Chieri, excuse me, and Joe Isma, who are doing Mother F. Goose for us, come out in December. They actually have a prelude story that will be in After Dark as well, to follow the prelude story they had in the Shock anthology back in the day as well. So they're in there. We have Jim Starlin doing his first short story for us at Aftershock. I totally changed that. Jim also is in Shock anthologies. So, but it's Jim and his artist Nicole, who are also, well, I can't say anything else. But this is their first collaboration together in Aftershock. So I'm not going to say anything, but no, maybe 2022 will say something for me. And the 4th story in there is by, of course, Cullen Bunn, who's does stuff for us with Aftershock all the time. And Cullen's welcome to anything he wants to do. He's got a home with us here.
So is it tied to any of the other stories? Or is it?
No, it's a standalone. It's a standalone one and done short story. But it's really good. So you'll like it. If you haven't read it yet, you'll like it.
Kyle's on here egging you on to spill the beans.
What do you know about the beans, Kyle? Okay.
He probably knows about the beans. He's not allowed to talk about the beans. You're the bean boss, so you can talk about what you want.
That's right. But I still have to answer to other people too.
This is true.
Well, I don't have to answer to them, but I have to at least explain myself. So.
Okay, so you guys are now having to juggle a little bit of things. Are there any of the delays that mean that specific titles are going to have to be moved significantly?
I won't say significantly, but I'll be honest up front. Most every title in the next month or so has been affected one way or the other. We're trying our best to keep our first issues lined up on schedule. That's what the main focus is, because that's one of you guys are most excited to see, I'm sure. But some of the other issues, the 2, 3, and 4s, will probably slide a week or two. But again, we're doing the best we can, and we're trying to get on schedule. And I think after today's conversation I had, I think we actually are getting a good grip on our real schedule going forward.
Love it. Is there any other cool news coming out of Aftershock that you just announced or are going to announce soon that you can give us just like a tease about?
Well, again, I just mentioned Mother of Goose from Frank Chieri and Joe Isma is another one of the One Shock format books like After Dark is. It'll be out in December. Mesotonic in the same format. We revisit the Mesotonic World series in a one-shot format in November. That's a beautiful looking book. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Heathens by Colin Bunn is number one. It's going to press. Is my Date with Monsters. Paul Tobin's follow-up to Bunny Mask. Another great looking book is also off the press. I think we have a announcement today, maybe. I've kind of lost track of today. It's been one of those days.
Yeah, I feel like there's been lots of things that are announced today that are.
Actually, there's a really good announcement tomorrow. Involves a. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't ask a question. It's been involved a talent who has done several stuff with us, who was one of our first four creators. He has a new project. It will be announced tomorrow. So look for that. But I won't tell you who it is. But it's one of our first four creators who does a lot of stuff for us. Who could that be?
You guys could probably figure this out. I'm just guessing.
Gee, I wish I knew. Maybe initial.
Like I was just giving hints.
Maybe the G initial. I don't know. Anyway.
Brainy says everyone needs to buy After Dark so that Joe can fix his private phone and not leave me stranded for days waiting for him to pick me up for New York Comic-Con.
Oh, the
this
jet didn't show up,
joke, by the way, guys.
Brainy. I'm sorry. You keep waiting. The jet's on the way. I'm sorry. It should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque, and it did not do so. So any day now. Sorry. C2E2, right? You're going to be at C2E2?
Right.
We'll pick you up on the way.
So Brainy is part of the experience as Saturday night's Twitch stream features his awesome house party mix as his alter ego Taji Beats, which we've been streaming on our CBSN show just very quietly with me talking really loudly over it so that I don't get in trouble and get it booted from Facebook. But it's awesome. We have a dance party and sell things on Saturday night. So
great. I got plans for Saturday night now.
That's right. Just put it on in the background. It's pretty awesome. And then also Brittany has a really awesome comic book shop in Northridge called Enjoy Comics. You should go and visit it if you're ever in town. Oh no. Everyone's now making pizza orders with you.
Ooh, I want a pizza.
They want Malnati's pizza when you go to Chicago.
Can you bring one to me this weekend, Jen?
Am I going to bring you a pizza from Houston?
No, I won't be any good. Probably cold.
I can bring a bunch of barbecue, but I think you have good barbecue there.
I will take you to my favorite pizza place in Atlanta.
Ooh, nice. So cool. Let's see, what else? I was trying to think. So you've had some big successes recently with comic books like Bunny Mask, which I feel like sold out completely, and my brain just stopped for the cool murdery one.
Well, we still have copies. No, with the printing crisis, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make sure that we have overprints of the upcoming first issues to make sure that you have as much as you need to. Demand demands it. We're not going to be worrying about the second printing so much right now, or cutting close to order. I'm actually do healthy overprints to make sure they're in stock for you guys.
Oh, perfect. The no sweats.
No sweats, yeah. So yeah, Bunny Mask was a great success for us. We Live was a phenomenal success for us. For I would say the last 3 or 4 years, Baby Teeth #1 was our biggest selling book of all time, and right now it's down number 3 because Bunny Mask and We Live have both passed it up, and they're finding each other out every week by what would be the all-time biggest selling book for us. And I don't mind to watch the fight. It's pretty fun.
So you might have to correct me on this one. I feel like We Live was the first time I saw you guys go back to print so many times for #1.
Well, you must have forgotten Animosity, which had 5 printings. But
that's true.
But We Live is our second largest. We did 4 printings in the first issue, so right behind Animosity. And every time, same thing with Animosity. Every time I did a new printing, I thought that's the last one, and I was totally wrong each time. Which It's good and bad. I like to see it keep selling. It makes me feel bad that I'm predicting it wrong. So I have to pay for another print run. But
maybe I can restate it this way. I think We Live was the only book that you had to reprint all the way up to #1, even after the series was finished.
Yeah, actually, when it went to trade, We Live had another printing, and no, #1 did. But also, issues 4 and 5 had extra printings. So 4 had 2 printings. 5 had 3 printings. That's a first for both those issues numbers, and those were all came after the trade came out.
Yep.
So the demand for the singles was still strong enough, even after the trade came out, to make us go back to press on at least 3 out of 5 issues. Amazing to me.
Yeah, there was a big push. The story was amazing, but also the art is so strong. I think people realized they wanted to have every version they could get.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for more, and we at Aftershock want to deliver for you. So be prepared.
So what are you working on next? What's your next writing project?
I am writing like on the chalkboard in The Simpsons for opening credits. What I will not be doing nonstop. I will not be. Next, I have some personal things in the works I've been working on for the past year, and when the time is right, I'll bring them out again. So, as far as Aftershock goes, Black Eyed Kids has been a conversation about returning to it in one form or another, and I'm excited about possibly doing that. And I've got some ideas. I've mapped out to the end, so I know where it's going to end one day, and I know some twists are going to come up that you do not know yet if you've read the series. And so I do want to do those stories. When I originally wrote it, I thought it would be a 50 or 60 page issue series, and I can still do that, but I don't think my workload will allow me to finish that much of it. So we'll probably condense it a little bit and still get the points across, but maybe bring it out in the one-shot format, where I do one every few months or so in that format.
I think the thing I'm the most sad about is that I think your kids are all old enough now that they can't be those kids.
I know, because my oldest son, Michael, was one of the inspirations for the Michael character in the series. And then my little boy, Steven, was actually the face of the little, what I call the Boy King, the leader of the Black Eyed Kids, the little 8-year-old blonde boy. So if you look at a picture of my son, which I actually posted a new one on my Facebook page yesterday, you can see the resemblance and to the leader of the BEK. So, they like the fact that they are horrible characters. Because they're such horrible kids.
So they ever dress up as those things? Like, do they try to be them and scare you at the house?
No, I actually, I'll show you a video, Jen, where I actually had Steven and Lydia, my 2 youngest, in our studio, which also is, I work out of a movie studio. And there's a section where I went back and did these videos of them as the Black Eyed Kids coming down dark corridors. And I'll show that to you. And I should show what we took the picture of. But I tell them all the time they can dress up as a BEK, and I'll just get a Sharpie and blacken their eyes in. But they run away from me when I say that.
They don't want to have Sharpie on their face? I can understand that.
No. Whatever. Kids today, right?
They'll be over it. All right, so where could and should people follow you to find out what's happening next?
Well, I do have a Twitter page. I couldn't tell you what it is right now. I don't go through it very often. I'm most often on Facebook, which I know a lot of people are abandoning, but I still am there because I have a lot of friends there, and I like it. So yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. You have to ask to be my friend, but if I can sell you're an obvious comic fan or a friend of Jen's, I'll definitely accept you as a friend. I have about 30 slots left until we hit the 5,000 mark again. Because you can only have 5,000 friends on Facebook. So when you get to 5,000, you have to call the list. So this is close to. I've done it a few times, but I kept you on it, Jen. So, and even Kyle, I kept on Kyle on too, but he's on the verge of getting cut next time. We'll see.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your day, and I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
Oh, I apologize to myself. Even though I used to work for Apple, I'm kind of I only know enough to get by on computers. So So if any of you guys are going to be at C2E2 in Chicago in December, I will be there. I'm halfway considering making the trip to San Diego now. Today I thought, started thinking about it, so maybe. But I hope to see you all on the road somewhere. And thanks for supporting Aftershock. Thanks for supporting me. And I look forward to seeing you this weekend, Jen.
Perfect. I'll see you in a little while. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Talking Shop. Stay tuned for more awesome things coming up.